Yeah, maybe one day we got to sell some Abbott shirts.
Yeah.
Don't pronounce it Abbott. It's Abyss. This is a joke.
Right.
So we have a new topic today, and it is inaudible things that affect sound. Okay.
You can't hear it, but it affects sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, what's the word there? Oxymoron? I don't know.
It's like that, yeah.
Could be, yeah.
So this is
Okay.
actually a pretty complicated topic that is probably a bit on the controversial side.
Well, not for us, because we do it.
We've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
There's an incredible amount of things that affect how somebody perceives something to sound that doesn't actually change the sound.
I think you brought this up in one of our past videos, right?
A little
Where
bit. We skimmed
the
over
fit
it.
of the headphones.
Fit's super important.
Yeah.
So much more important than people would think. We've seen this over and over again. If you change something the way it fits, now it can change the way it sounds very minorly, because it changes your position of your ear and the whatever what's going on inside the ear pad.
It changes the acoustic perspective of your ear within the
Right.
ear pad.
But the difference
it's kind of like
is
moving about in a room with
Yeah, it's
speakers
like that,
playing.
yeah.
You know,
Sure.
you're just changing where you're
Right.
standing.
it changes things a bit, but people, they say there's huge differences all
Yeah.
the time. If there's a minor change in how something fits or feels on your head, it totally changes the way somebody perceives
We
the
should
sound.
probably qualify that because some people misunderstand. It's not that it's not necessarily that fit. A certain kind of fit is critical.
Right.
It's that you need to find a fit for your head.
Right.
That you like it, where you like it to fit in terms of sound and the feel of
Yeah,
it.
this is a messy
It's not
one.
that there's one fit for everybody. That's the mistake. There's not. Not. Zero can't happen.
'Cause there's-
everybody's head's completely different shape.
A lot of
top to
people
bottom.
that are used to headphones have a particular way they want headphones or expect headphones to fit. And things that don't fit that way, to them, that's unusual. And that could change their perception of the sound. And if a headphone's uncomfortable, that will change the perception of your sound. And oddly enough, if the headphone's exceptionally comfortable, which this is all perception, this
Sure.
is relative, right? Relative to your experience and how you want it to feel and fit. Even if a headphone's even exceptionally comfortable, you're still going to think it sounds a little bit different than if it was just a normal nominal fit.
And that could go either way, right? I mean,
For sure. It doesn't mean
could
it's
be
always
comfortable,
better.
but sound worse to you. You don't
It's
really
possible.
know. It depends on what you're accustomed to, really.
Yeah, so
You know?
these things are incredibly pronounced in humans, oddly enough. I've seen this over and over and over again. You would think people would be able to mitigate this, but I've seen a bunch of people struggle with this, and they're totally unaware of it.
I
They
think
have
it just takes
no
time.
clue.
I
that-
think you got to spend
Well,
time
yeah.
with it.
Well, there's no doubt there.
You know?
I mean, even something as simple as like clamping force. Some people are like, this is too light.
Right.
Yeah.
This is too much
Right.
clamping. And
Right.
that could affect how you
It's
perceive the
hard
sound.
for them to hear past it. And for a lot of people, I could see they think this is totally inaccurate,
But over time, what
This
happens
is
is
important.
things tend to break in.
Or you get used to it.
Or you get
Yeah.
used to it, or both.
Or both.
I mean, the foams tend to soften up as you wear them. The leathers soften a little bit.
Yeah.
It starts to shape itself. Where
Well, it heats up.
you had pressure points starts to go away because there was more pressure on the foam pads
Yeah.
at that point.
yeah.
So it compresses a bit over time. It's kind of like a couch, right? You sit on for a while and you start to get a divot, or a bed, where you
Bed,
start
yeah.
to lay on and you start to get a spot in there where it's the same thing with any kind of a foam-based material where it breaks in. So yeah, you got to watch this stuff up front because it. But anyway, that's one thing. We probably got a lot more aspects we got to cover with.
Yeah.
Things that.
things you can't hear that affect sound.
Yeah, things you
Oh,
can't hear.
I got
yeah.
the ultimate one. Looks.
Oh yeah,
That's a big one.
yeah, it's true.
That's
know.
pretty significant, yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a
Just
lot of
coming
people,
into
they
it.
see something, they
Yeah.
know they're going to like the way it
Preconceived
sounds.
notions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
see it, they like it, they
Well,
think it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, well, just like I see this as a electrostat, and I like electrostats.
Yeah, right.
Right? Something like that.
Or I see that's
Yeah.
a tube amp,
Right.
and that's a solid state, so I'm going to pick one or the other.
Right.
Just because it looks the way it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's preconceived notions.
This
Yeah.
headphone's
Yeah.
made out of wood. I like wood headphones.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
I
Yeah.
mean-
Tell me about it. Which is cool.
Yeah. Fine.
We were there.
Yeah.
Been there. But yeah.
That's surprisingly common.
Yeah.
And some people are willing to admit it, but most people are unaware. If you happen to like something for an unrelated reason, you're much more predisposed to like the way it sounds. It may sound more pleasing to you or pleasant to you just because you think it fits better or looks better, or you like the way it's designed or made. You like the driver technology. You like the person that made it. There could be a million different things. You like the cable. You think the cable's soft and supple and flexible.
Yeah. or too soft, or
Yeah,
too
like,
stiff.
there
or
could be a lot of things
not
that you.
stiff enough, and there's all kinds of perceived notions.
This
of-
is a big
It's
deal
all
to a lot
about
of people.
likes,
Yeah,
you know?
humans are incredibly emotional creatures, as it turns
It's
out.
not just chocolate and vanilla. There's a lot of gray in areas in between for
Yeah.
us. And,
Well, and a lot of components too.
yeah,
And
right.
each one has the same problem.
Well, like the
Looks at-
1266, right? Everyone looks at it at first and like,
Right.
you know, how the hell could that be comfortable? You know?
Right.
Right.
You know, yeah.
So I think in that
We
regard,
always get the Doctor Who.
yeah, we get all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But we probably see this
which
a
is-
bit more
I
than
love
other
Doctor Who.
manufacturers.
But yeah.
Because most other manufacturers make somewhat conventional looking headphones. They
Yeah.
look the way people expect. And so I think in that realm,
They tend to sound
for
like
the
that, too.
most part, the manufacturer wouldn't see this that much because people expect it to look like a particular way and they're conforming to those expectations. So they don't have strong preconceived notions. But for us, we have unusual looking headphones that fit different.
Right.
And so people tend to have unusual expectations coming in. And that, without a doubt, impacts how they perceive
Yeah,
the
up
sound.
front. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like I know like in the hospitality business, like hotels, they said when you come in to check, like they know this from doing it for 100 years.
Yeah.
You come in and you check in, that first minute or so experience sets the tone before
doubt.
you even walk in your room, before you even see the room.
Yeah.
If that person at the desk, for whatever reason, upsets you, pisses you off, whatever, right? You're going to hate the room when you walk in. It could be the best room you've ever been in, but you're going to hate it because your initial experience walking into the
Yep.
hotel was negative.
Start off on the
And-
wrong foot.
Yeah, and so it's right there. It's pretty obvious, you know. And
It works the same way in reverse, though.
I'm sure
too.
Vegas has got
Right.
these
Right.
things figured out too.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the opposite's true though too. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
If you're really wowed by something,
Right.
you're way more likely to like it.
Yeah. So you do have to watch your initial impressions and how it controls your thought process because
Well, that kind of goes with why you have to like spend some time with things.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, so then you get over that initial
yeah, exactly.
wow
Yeah, the
or
first 5
not
minutes.
wow. You
Yeah.
know.
For the most part, this does fade with time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have any strong bias, hopefully it gets weeded out with time. But that isn't always the case. We see people that bring us modded headphones at shows and they want us to listen to them or they want to share their amazing experience with us or whatever they perceive to be as some sort of unique
Yeah, well, like a
novel thing.
one-off style headphone that nobody else
Yeah,
has
like
anything
some
that
they get
sounds
some
like
really
this.
weird modified headphone
Yeah.
that's modified in
Yeah.
a way to suit their tastes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's completely
And,
anti-stock.
yes.
Not even close to stock.
Usually, these
Yeah.
people have very clear, strong preferences towards one thing or another sonically,
Yeah.
and the headphone is designed to tailor to that. So it sounds very strange.
Yeah, would
but
you-
to them, they think it's perfect. They think it's right. And so, oddly enough, a lot of times they have these things for years, or they keep modifying for years and years towards a goal, target in their mind.
Yeah.
And for them, it doesn't seem to fade. So for some people, I guess it doesn't always go away.
I think we covered this in a previous
Yeah, we
video.
skimmed over these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some other things, like not even just the headphones, we should talk about the equipment too, the electronics. You know, like I said, look at the tube
Same
amp
thing.
versus solid
Yeah,
state.
same thing.
You know, preconceived notion.
Yeah.
You're probably, if you listen to the one you don't want to listen to, you don't like, you're not going to like it right up front.
Yep.
You're not going to like it. You talked yourself out of it before you even put your headphones on, and it could be very good, but you talked yourself out of it. You know, we see that all the time. So you know,
You see that sometimes at shows. People have like the Bose used to do that, right? They have their little speakers behind this big speaker grill.
yeah,
Oh,
And they
yeah.
show you
right.
the big speaker, and like, oh wow, look at this big speaker!
Yeah,
Look at this
yeah.
impressive,
It's like a
immersive
little
sound.
cube.
Yeah.
And then they take the the baffle thing off, and they show you, oh, it's this little speaker. Wow,
Yeah.
it's amazing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But obviously, they knew that
Yeah.
these things
Right.
make a difference. Your
Yeah.
first impressions, your idea of what the sound's going to be,
Sure.
matters into your perception.
Well, yeah, because we see people that like, oh, I don't even want to listen to this tube amp because I don't like tube amps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Every
like,
once in a while, yeah.
okay.
Or in the two-channel world, when we used to do speakers at the shows, they'd come in and see
Yeah.
the tube amp setup, go, I don't even want to listen to these
Right,
speakers.
right.
It's like, wow. I mean, it could have the most gorgeous sounding system on the planet. They'll walk back out because they want to hear solid state on a speaker.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's a shame because they're missing out on an experience that you should understand all these variations and how they combine to reproduce sound. They don't all suck.
Well-
Just because you had one bad experience doesn't mean they all suck.
Well, yeah.
And so yeah, it's something you gotta keep an open mindedness in our end of things. At least try to.
I think it's really hard for
From a
most people,
customer
though.
standpoint, yeah, you need to always try things because you'd be surprised. Well, another way to put it would be something you might have tried up front at first might sound good after all in a different implementation.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it wasn't properly implemented. Maybe,
Yeah.
you know, and again, we'll point the cabling. It makes a big difference at this level. And so it's something you got to consider. You know, somebody had a bad setup. You know, the system was off.
That happens, yeah.
You know, and so now what do you blame? Well, you blame the speakers first,
Mm-hmm.
or in our case, the headphones. That's the first thing to blame when something doesn't sound right.
Then the amp.
And the amp, yeah. And then, yeah.
You just go back.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a number of speaker manufacturers said it. They said if the room sounds good when you walk in, they'll praise the electronics. If the room sounds bad, they'll blame the speakers. And you know, it tends to be like that. These are guys that sell speakers.
Right.
This is their experience.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of funny how that works. But yeah, sometimes you just don't really know what's causing what you don't like. You know, because again, you don't know the system. You've never tried all the variations in systems topologies, different amps, different sources.
Well, there's a lot of options.
Another thing I can think of is DACs, where people might know up front what the chipset is or what the implementation is of
Yes.
the DAC, right?
Yeah, we've
And
seen that a few
bam!
times,
Yeah.
If you got the one they don't like, it's going to
Yeah.
suck no matter
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
too. We've had that a few times, yeah.
Yeah.
Some
it's
people
like,
just
wait a
show up,
minute.
oh, I don't like this chipset in this DAC.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The power supply and the analog section
Right.
don't do anything, huh?
Oh, I don't like the way this is designed or
Yeah,
something
but
like that.
it's actually it's like I'm not even going to listen to this
Yeah, right.
because of that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right.
Right. You got anything else?
Yeah.
Well, sure. You
Yeah.
can go down there. They got something. But yeah, you know, bottom line is it's silly because it's implementation.
Yeah.
It's the system is a combination of sounds that come together to produce the final result. It's not one particular thing that produces this.
No.
Nothing exists where there's one singularity that you're producing music with. You know, so you've got to understand that the combination will affect how it sounds. It's kind of like even when we break it down. You think about how we broke down our design of our diaphragm, our design of our drivers. We broke that down into what all other manufacturers would consider things you couldn't hear. You know what I mean? In the
I
driver
suppose.
design. It just
I don't know how other
it
people
wasn't
design
considered
their
audible.
Yeah, right, that's the
It
thing,
wasn't
yeah.
a consideration. Well, we don't, but you can hear it. You can hear the things they could have done that they didn't.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what I
sure.
mean.
Yeah, sometimes.
Right. And that means they ignored them. Or they didn't know that they
Well,
existed. That's what
maybe.
it means to me. They never
Or
went.
it just wasn't a focus.
Maybe, but they didn't go deep enough,
Mm.
right? Because it should have been, because you could improve on something. Everything could be improved.
Well,
on.
yeah, of course.
Obviously, even what we're doing.
Right.
But yeah, what I'm saying is that there's details in the details on
Yeah.
everything.
It's just how far down that rabbit hole you want to go.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people think cables aren't audible,
Right.
and again, you're excusing something out that can make a difference. How do you
You're
get
seeing
past
a lot
that?
less of that these days, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
and
we
headphones
first
in particular.
started,
Yeah.
there was a pretty strong feeling that cables don't matter, but
Right.
you're seeing people change cables all the time
Right.
now.
It's very
in
To
high-end
fine-tune.
headphones. Very
Yeah.
common.
Yeah, they're tuning their headphone. They're tuning the interface between the headphone and the electronics,
Mhm.
trying to
Yeah.
get where they want to be. It's a fine tune.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily coarse. It's a fine tune, but it's still a tune. And you know, it makes sense because you can't rock through 100 amps. Not that you even have 100 amps to choose
Well,
from.
yeah.
That might work, but you can't rock through all those electronics. It's easier to change out a cable to fine tune it is 3-4 DACs. You know what I mean? To
Yeah,
get where
right.
you're going.
Well, some people do that.
Some
3 or
people
4
do that too. I
decks.
guess some people
A
have
lot of
3-4
people
decks.
change cables just for feel, though. They like the way it looks, or
Yeah.
the way it drapes, or the way it
Yeah.
feels,
Ergonomics.
or the connector on it, or something like that. The ergonomics of the
Which brings us
cable.
back to the beginning of the video.
But these things are important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you got to think about, you look at a supercar, hypercar, or something like that. You typically don't buy that car because of the performance. That's one of the reasons, but that's not the only reason why you're buying it. If you just wanted the performance, you could get it way cheaper
Yeah.
by modifying something,
Yeah.
right? But it's a very different experience, totally different. You're not going to buy some multi-million-dollar hypercar just because it's fast in a straight line or it corners a certain way. Right? You're buying it because of the total experience, the way it makes you feel.
Yeah.
The way it looks.
And because you can. You
Because you can, maybe, yeah.
don't want a
Prestige,
Chevy.
yeah.
You know what I
Prestige,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
totally different.
It's showing off too.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, you're
It's
showing
the same
off.
kind of reason
You're
why
flaunting
people,
it for sure.
It goes
you
same
know?
thing with speakers, though, too.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
get big speakers.
We're
you know,
guys.
Yeah.
That's what we do. You know.
people like warranties
Go big,
too,
go
though. It's the
home.
same thing, right? People see a warranty and makes them more comfortable, makes them trust the thing more. It's the same type of effect.
Yeah.
It doesn't make the device more reliable. And in fact, how many times have you had something fail? It's pretty uncommon for
Yeah,
the most part of
not too
electronics.
often.
But people see, this particular electronic thing has a 3-year warranty or 5-year warranty. Wow, that's really good. It must be really good. And they'll probably not even use it for 5 years. And even if it does fail in 4.5 years, they're probably not going to send it in. But it makes them feel better. And as a result, they're more predisposed to like that product.
Yeah. It's a sales tool for sure.
Yeah. But it helps. These things
I think
work.
Bryston does 20 years or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
Which
yeah.
is just crazy, you know. It's like, because not too many people own stuff for 20 years.
Yeah,
I might.
Not a lot of people.
I might, but, you know, then again, I would just send it in and say, if it breaks, fix it, whatever. I'm not going to worry about the warranty, whether it's there or not. It's just, if you like it and you're going to keep it, just get it fixed. Sometimes stuff gets old enough where it's just time to move on,
Well,
too.
yeah.
Like, to me, if electronics gets to be 15, 20 years old, the caps are getting old in there.
Well, that's the other thing, yeah.
You don't realize it, but over time, the sound's changing on these
Yeah.
things. So you're to me, if it makes it that long, you count your blessings, you move on, you get something new because it's probably due. You know, and things have probably improved over time too.
Usually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so-
people could grow attached to these things.
Yeah,
Same
you
thing.
could. Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I tend to hand down a lot of stuff to you guys that play with
Yeah,
over
sometimes.
time. Yeah, but now we're kind of got all kinds of toys all over the place.
Yeah.
So we split up what we have.
Yeah.
You got different stuff. I got different stuff. You have different stuff. So it comes together that we all have a little different experience with the same headphones. And we meet in the middle right here at this table.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yep.
And we could go on and on, I think, but there's
Yes.
there's tons of things that would be considered an audible that
Yep.
somehow manage to get themselves into an audible
No doubt.
Yep.
audible domain, you know, and there's thousands of things. So
The trouble is, from the consumer side, you really can't see it. It's really hard to see.
right,
Right, but from our side, we see it over and over and over again. We see the trends.
yeah,
As a manufacturer that goes and actually exhibits at trade shows, you see all the time where people struggle to see past a particular thing. And it's not just with our headphones, it's with all headphones,
Sure.
of course.
yeah,
There's always pros and cons for how people perceive things, but all these other human factors, they make a difference, without a doubt. I think it'd be really challenging to prove otherwise, because we've seen it a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
that-
be careful about these
That
things.
and there's a lot of subtle details in as us as designers that we implement that
Yeah.
you would never know by looking at it. You just don't see it. Well, we could point to thousands of things that we've done wherever, the design of the headphone or the system setup, or you know, we even at a show we'll go through 3 or 4 different power chords on an amp just to fine tune something we're hearing that we want to, you know, make a little more pleasing.
Yeah.
At certain frequencies or certain ranges, you know, because we're plugging into unknown outlets in a hotel room or something. I mean, it's pretty crappy power usually in these places. with
Can be.
wiring that's been there for 20 years and outlets that like the plug just wants to
Oh,
fall
yeah.
out of. You know, I always wanted to bring our own outlet to the damn shows, but someone's going to yell at me to
Yeah,
change
yeah.
outlets in a hotel room. But you know, but yeah, I mean, it's bottom line is there's all kinds of little variables that go on that you wouldn't think that are perceivable, but we just know from experience are. So you got to experiment, you know, and you got to understand that there are unknowns and there's things that you haven't experienced that you will over time if you continue in this hobby. That's a good way to look at it, I think. Just keep trying stuff, and you'll find your own.
Experience
Yeah,
tends to
totally.
really equalize all this stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see it enough times, you can kind of understand the trends, you can understand your faults,
Yeah.
and hopefully work to mitigate them,
It takes time. So
for sure.
anyway, thank you everyone for watching, and if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and take care.